I want to chat a little bit about hell. And I know that's kind of a funny way to put it, to talk so lightly about the fate of your eternal soul. But the afterlife is such a mystery, and we can trust that there is God and all will be well, but it's hard to really know any specifics. But I want to talk a little bit about hell. You know, I believe there is an afterlife. I'm saying that things are a mystery, but I very much believe there is a journey of your soul. I don't shy away from supernatural claims. I'm not one of those ministers that think everything is just metaphorical. I believe there is a journey of your soul. But I have some problems about the way that traditionally Christianity has talked about hell. So let's discuss this. In the traditional conception of hell, hell is a place under the surface of the earth, a place of eternal torture, and you go there if you weren't saved by Jesus Christ. That's the basic traditional conception. But in three ways I have major problems with it. First, that there would be a place of eternal torture. I believe in a God of love. And secondly, that there's only one religion that can save your soul. I honor and reverence other religions. And I don't like the fear-based nature of you better believe in Jesus or you're going to burn. So I've got a lot of basic problems with it. But let me back up. Hell is talked about 23 times in the New Testament. But this is complex because actually the word hell is not in the Greek manuscript at all. So we know the New Testament was written first in Greek, but we put English words over those Greek words, and we put in the word hell. And every time we put in the word hell, it's covering three basic Greek words, either Gehenna, Tartarus, or Hades. And we're just taking this English word and we're putting it in there, but something happens if you do that. Because hell, as an English word, has developed and evolved through literature and through art. And so when we use the English word hell, you think of Dante's Inferno and the 9 levels of the hell and that last frozen pond of the most evil. Or when I say hell, you think of Milton and Satan's abode. And when I say hell, you probably can imagine Michelangelo's The Last Judgment on the Sistine Chapel, or Bosch's lurid descriptions of hell in his paintings. Hell, as an English word, has evolved artistically and imaginatively. But when you just throw that over the Greek word Gehenna, that's the word that Jesus is saying most, Gehenna. And Gehenna was a trash dump outside Jerusalem. It's a vivid metaphor for Jesus to use, a place where the garbage was always burning, and mythically it was a place where child sacrifice had happened, a horrible place, but a literal spot outside Jerusalem. When we put hell over Gehenna, already a shift has taken place. Or Hades. Hades in the Greek is either the specific god Hades, or it's just the entire abode of the dead, kind of a netherworld, not a place of eternal torture. Or Tartarus in Greek is that lower level of some punishment, but just taking the English word hell, throwing it in there, already we get confused. But Jesus does talk a lot about an eternal fire or eternal punishment. About 7 or 8 times he talks about it, and we should take this seriously. Why is Jesus talking about this place of eternal fire so much? Well, in my understanding, Jesus was a charismatic rabbi, and those teachers taught dramatically, and he's trying to draw up a sharp juxtaposition. He's urging you to live an ethical life. Jesus wants you to live this morally robust life. In fact, it's incredibly rigorous to love enemies, to return no one evil for evil, to forgive, to not judge. There's a high ethical demand, and as a teacher, he is describing how bad it would be if we don't live up to that ethical demand. So he's being dramatic, but I don't believe in the traditional conception of hell, not as Christianity has developed that idea. So let me back up again to those three ways I disagree with it. The fact that hell is eternal punishment. We know through Jesus, a God of love. Would there be a torture chamber for all eternity? Would God turn our religion into a reward and punishment scheme? I don't think so. And this way that hell has been used to preach the gospel, to turn the gospel into a threat or a fear-based religion rather than love-based, it makes no sense to the God I know through Jesus Christ. Well, I'll tell you what, this evangelical equation that you got to scare people into believing Jesus Christ, you better believe or else, it's been going on a long time in America. The great preacher Jonathan Edwards began this template of how you try to scare people into a faith in Jesus Christ in 1741. And preachers have followed that now for a couple hundred years. They try to scare the hell, I was going to say scare the hell out of you, but maybe scare the hell into you or make you so fearful that you come to Jesus. Listen to his sermon in 1741. That God holds you over the pit of hell, much as one holds a spider or some loathsome insect over the fire, abhors you and is dreadfully provoked. God's wrath towards you burns like a fire. He looks upon you as worthy of nothing else but to be cast into the fire. God is of purer eyes than to bear to have you in his sight. You are 10,000 times so abominable in his eyes as the most hateful and venomous serpent is in ours. You have offended God infinitely, more than ever a stubborn rebel did his prince. And yet it is nothing but God's hand that holds you from falling into the fire at every moment. 'Tis ascribed to nothing else that you did not go to hell last night, that you were suffered to awake again in this world after you closed your eyes to sleep, and there's no other reason to be given why you have not dropped into hell already this morning, but that God's hand has held you up. Are you hearing this? Listen to the way he creates this judgment, wrath, and fear. There is no other reason to be given why you haven't gone to hell since you've sat here in church, provoking his pure eyes by your sinful, wicked manner of attending his solemn worship. Yet there is nothing else that is to be given as the reason why you don't this very moment drop into hell. O sinner, consider the fearful danger you are in. 'Tis a great furnace of wrath. Watch the way he builds up, trying to create this self-indictment in you. A wide and bottomless pit full of fire and wrath, that you are held over the hand of God, whose wrath is provoked and incensed as much against you as an enemy of the damned in hell. You hang by a slender thread, with the flames of divine wrath flashing about it, ready at every moment to singe it and burn it asunder. So there he goes, trying to make you as fearful as possible. So out of that sense of guilt and fear, you'll give yourself to Christ. That's the basic evangelical equation that has been used again and again for 200 years. I don't think it's of Jesus. I think what Jesus is trying to do is invite you to a greater love. Jesus wouldn't use that type of strategy. He would use hell as a dramatic teaching method to help you understand how it is important you live ethically. So listen to me. I believe there are consequences to our actions in the world. We don't need a religion trying to scare the hell out of us, but there are consequences. If you live a life filled with hate and greed, if you live wickedly, it does matter, and the journey of your soul will be affected. I don't believe in an eternal torture chamber, but there might be something like the medievalists talked about purgatory. There might be a place of further testing where you're not ready to move towards God's love yet. Oh, I think how you live in this life matters. But we don't need a torture chamber to remind us of that. We just need Jesus. And I also trust that other religions They have a love in them that can bring people to God. We don't have to use hell to somehow promote Christianity as the only true religion. So, I guess I'm just trying to say, take your journey seriously. Live as best as you can. Treat others well, because it matters. It matters for them. It matters for your soul. God bless your soul on your journey.